Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this afternoon for an episode review for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 5 review that I just finally got done watching. I am sorry I couldn't do it on the day of when it came out. I tend to do these episode reviews during the weekends and all that, but I just fell a little behind because I had other videos to do during the weekend as well. So, yeah, this is for Season 1, Episode 5 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power that I'll be reviewing for you guys today. So, I'm going to discuss what I watched for Episode 5 of Season 1 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and let you know my thoughts on it. So, let's dive into this episode review for this TV show review. Now, there's only 3 more episodes left after this one, so it's ending on October 14th, I believe, for the final episode of the season. But so far, I'm really enjoying this episode. It explains about the Harfoots at the beginning of this episode, and it's pretty interesting where this magical or unnatural ability guy or whatever. This guy with unnatural abilities. I think he's a wizard or something. Like I was saying in the previous episode reviews and all that, but pretty much Nori is trying to help him find his own way and all that, and I guess he's like a wizard or something. I'm not sure. So there are things that happen throughout this episode that are pretty interesting. It shows about the Harfoots in this one, so yeah, they didn't explain it in the last episode that I reviewed, but it still was a really good episode for the last episode. This was a really good one too. I really liked how this whole episode was set up, and certain scenes were pretty well executed. So it goes into Numenor again a little bit later in the episode, and uh, pretty much Galadriel's trying to convince Lord Halbrand to basically, his name's Halbrand, um, to fight for them to help save Middle Earth and all that from Sauron. And Sauron's, or Adar, I guess is what he's called, um, is trying to take over the Southlands for his own gain and for his own personal gain and power and all that he wants to seek out the whole destruction of Middle Earth and let everyone swear fealty to him and all that. So it's pretty messed up, but eh, he's power hungry for sure. But still, this episode was really good. Um, I'm gonna go into a little more explanation a bit. Isildur does decide to join in the fight for Middle Earth and all that. And I remember that name clearly because of Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, explaining it at the beginning of it, when Galadriel was explaining the story behind the Rings of Power and all that, which I'm kind of glad they did a show for this, basically, Lord of the Rings show for it, because I think they're going to have another season or so. I don't know how many more seasons they're gonna have for this show, but this was a really good episode. Um, it is pretty lengthy. It's like an hour and 12 minutes, but then this these villagers that were part of the Southlands or lived in the Southlands are trying to swear fealty to Adar, also known as Sauron, and basically they do try to swear fealty to them, but I don't know what happened to those people, honestly. So it didn't explain that part. That was the only downside that they didn't explain about, but still the episode was really good. And I don't want to spoil too much of this episode if you haven't seen it, but basically, for each character in this episode, they have their own little story. They're trying to uh, own little place in this show and all that. So yeah, this was a really good episode. I'm trying to explain it the best way I can without messing up in this review. But overall, I think this new Lord of the Rings of Power, Numenor's going to war against Adar. The Galadriel kind of convinced the Queen Regent of Numenor to fight for the Southlands to take back their home and let Lord Halbrand be their ruler and all that of the Southlands. So they have to drive away Sauron, also known as Adar, from the Southlands before they start seeking more territory and all that, and destroy all of Middle Earth and create a fog of darkness and all that. So it's pretty messed up, but yeah, that's what I see what's going to happen. It's going to be a big war coming from Numenor, and the Southlands. Adar's orcs and all that are going to fight the Numenors at Middle Earth. So basically, overall, I think that's what's going to happen in the final few episodes and all that. It's going to build up to that, which is going to be a pretty climatic battle. So first score for me, I'm giving episode 5 of season 1 for Lord of the Rings of Power. I forgot to mention about Elrond and all that. They show Elrond and Durin in this episode heading to Lindon to find out, well, what's his name? Durin is actually trying to find out what the elves are up planning and all that, and they finally realize that this certain tree, uh, they Elrond finds out that Galadriel's still alive and didn't go to that certain place at the very beginning of the show where she went on that ship to go into a new world or whatever. So she didn't do that. But still, pretty good episode. Really enjoyed this episode, and yeah, first score for me, I'm giving episode 5 of season 1 for Lord of the Rings of Power a 9.5 out of 10. A really good episode. It was much better than the last episode for sure. The last episode had some. They didn't go into a little more explanation with the last episode, but it was really good for what it went for. So 9.5 out of 10 for season 1, episode 5 of Lord of the Rings of Power. So comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode 5 review for Lord of the Rings of Power for season 1 if you've seen it on Prime Video or online. And if you enjoyed this episode 5 review for Lord of the Rings of Power for season 1, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can to support the channel. This was a pretty lengthy episode, and I tried to cover ground on everything I watched with this episode. So, basically, Durin is the guy that's going to have... The dwarf Durin is going to have to help the elves secure their place at the place where that tree is, where it's diminishing. And they said by spring, if they don't fix that tree or whatever, they have to leave their homeland and find a new place to take refuge at. The elves will, where Galadriel, Elrond, and Elrond's father as king will have to find a new place to live at and all that. So, yeah. So it was a really interesting episode. I really enjoyed this one, and I think the last few episodes might be pretty good to end the season. So, yeah, if you did enjoy this episode review, like I said, comment below, let me know your thoughts on it, Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can. Support the channel. If I did already say that, I'm sorry for repeating it. I tend to forget. My train of thought sometimes is forgetful sometimes. So I'm going to be reviewing House of the Dragon Season 1, Episode 6. I'm going to be watching that next, and then I'm going to move on to some music reviews afterwards. So I won't be able to review Don't Worry Darling till sometime in the middle of the week or maybe next weekend. I'm going to a concert next weekend, if it's still on, of course. But I'll just wait and see. So, with that being said, hope you enjoyed this lengthy episode 5 review for Season 1 of Lord of the Rings of Power. I did the best I could to explain and cover ground on what I watched through this hour and 12-minute episode. So stay safe, take care, guys, and as always, I'll see you in my next review.